Welcome back to the Party Package. My name is Owen, and I am the savior of entertainment and the prophet of NHL season previews. Now, this time, we're talking about the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton Oilers. Whew. I don't even know what that was. Anyways, the Oilers is a team that went to the conference finals last year, lost to the Stanley Cup champions, the Colorado Avalanche. And this is a team that has finally last year got to this conference finals and proved that they are a worthy team. You know why? Because they finally added pieces together to play along McDavid and Draisaitl instead of them just being the team. They finally added Kane and Hyman and Yamamoto and Nugent Hopkins together. I mean, Nugent Hopkins has been there for a while, but Yamamoto growing. Puljujärvi, kind of not doing as well as that they wanted him to, but still playing good enough to be on the team. And then they have a solid enough fourth line to play along this star-studded cast of forwards. Excuse me. This team is amazingly built on offense. This is a team that with this offense, could do anything. The problem lies last year is their goaltending and currently still their defense. Their defense is not terrible, but it's not enough to bring them to a Stanley Cup victory, because Darnell Nurse, I would say, isn't really he's not amazing. If I was to say, if in NHL terms, I'd give him like an 85, 86. If that's your top defenseman, that's not very good. You got to have some solid defense, at least one solid defenseman back there to play solidly. The difference on defense and offense, I was a defenseman. I understand. If you have a great defenseman, that's why I think Hedman's the best. He can take on three forwards coming down on one guy, one defenseman, and break up that play, or at least give the goalie a great chance to make a good save. Someone like Nurse, Ceci, Bouchard, Kulak, Broberg, or Barry are not those guys that three forwards from the other team can break through, and those guys are going to stop them, or at least give their goalie a chance to make a save. And that is the main problem with this team. And last year, they didn't have Jack Campbell, which I'll get to. They had Mike Smith and Koskinen, which isn't a great enough goalie to be able to hope that after these guys can try to do their job, that those two goalies could make those saves to keep them in the game and to win games for them in series. So that was the main problem last year. They finally add in Jack Campbell, a good goalie for most parts of the season, and in the one series that the Maple Leafs played in, Jack Campbell can and has shown he can be an outstanding goaltender. However, those couple of months in the regular season, he was absolutely abysmal, and I guess that's what happened. You're going on a gamble with Campbell that he is going to be the playoff series game. That goaltender that played at the beginning of the year and in that one series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's what they're gambling on. If he doesn't gamble out to that, or he's just semi-mediocre, that could be another bad season for them, a team that doesn't get over that hump that they really want to. So, of course, their strengths. What are their good? What is their positives for this team? Obviously, McDavid and Draisaitl, the diamonds, absolute gems, top of the league players. Top two, I would say. I'd say it goes McDavid and it mixes up between there. But Draisaitl's in the top five. But now they've given McDavid and Draisaitl a cast of players to play with. McDavid and Hyman and Kane, that is going to be a great line. Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and Yamamoto, that line's going to be terrific again this year. Third line, Puljujärvi, McLeod, and Janmark, who's just got signed to the team. That could be a solid line to keep that third line together. Fourth line's looking kind of shaky. Fogle, Ryan, and Shore could be a little bit of a disappointing line this year. I could see all those guys being in the teens. But it doesn't matter when you've got 123, 110-point goals players on your team to drive that offense forward. Now, of course, last season in the playoffs, they got to the conference finals because a player like McDavid exists, and he drove his team. This guy forced his team to victory and made them win playoffs and games. And you can't expect him to do that every year. I think the Oilers were kind of on a The Oilers were had all the right things going for them at the time. Mike Smith was actually playing pretty well. Kane was scoring multiple hat tricks. Hyman was playing well. Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, Yamamoto. All these guys were actually showing up and performing and at the perfect time. Everything was going right for them. They were an unstoppable train until they ran into the Colorado Avalanche. And the Colorado Avalanche or the only team that were able to finally stop this team. But everything was going right for them. So what happens this year, being a Sharks fan, I'm well aware the Evander Kane effect. He shows up on a team, he scores, I think in like the first 3 games that they played on the Sharks, he had like 9 goals or something, and he scored like 20 goals in the last 20 games of the season. It was crazy. But Kane, then the next year, I mean, he wasn't bad. Kane isn't bad, but he just isn't. It's always that second year things seem to just dump down for him, and Kane can't perform the same way. Maybe he can with a McDavid and a Hyman and a team that's actually built that could really go far and win things. Maybe it'll be different this time, maybe not. It's to be seen. But that is one of the big problems with the Oilers this year, is that they're betting on players to remake that one good season, that thing that made them special for that short amount of time. They're hoping Kane can perform back at that level again, or if he rescinds back to his San Jose Sharks form, where he's just kind of like a solid player and not really anything special. You're hoping that Kyler Yamamoto actually had a down year, I think. You kind of have to hope, like, well, maybe this isn't a path for him. Maybe that one good season last year wasn't the only one. Puljujärvi, they re-signed not for that much, but you're kind of hoping he can do better than 36. And Jack Campbell especially, you're going on a gamble, hoping that he bounce back and he consistently performs at that level. Because if he doesn't, that'll be a real big problem for them. If he can't consistently play at that level again, this team could be spelling disaster. Their offense is amazing. Their defense is not shambles, but it needs help, and Campbell is a risk. Now, how does this team get fixed? How do they fix up this team together? Offense is perfectly fine. Offense is fine as long as everyone performs to the way they should, as long as Kane doesn't get 39 points again this season. If Yamamoto can at least get 41 and Puljujärvi can get maybe better than 36, this team's perfectly fine. Unless players like McLeod, Yan, Mark Vogel, Ryan, and Shore fall out and Puljujärvi and these bottom 2 lines absolutely collapse, then that'll be a problem. But if everyone performs back to the way they have been, everything should be fine. The one thing that I think they need is that I don't know what players they would need, but I can say this. They need to upgrade their defense from CC to someone as a CC caliber. CC is the same type of category as I'd call an Eric Chernak, where he's the big guy that can he's a body. He's a strong body player. But CC's not really that type of guy, but that's the kind of the role he fills, you know what I mean? So CC, you need an upgrade from him. Kulak, you need an upgrade from Kulak. And Broberg I feel like isn't going to really be that defenseman that he can be, and I also feel like he's stepping on Barry and Bouchard's feet with what his type of player is, which is his last name starts with a B. They need to upgrade from those guys. I would say maybe get rid of Broberg and CC and trade him to a team that likes to trade people away like crazy. Like for, let's say, Philadelphia, and you bring in like a D'Angelo, a hard-fighting, non-stop fighting defenseman that can just drive the offense from the blue line. You put him back there with Nurse, so you got Nurse and D'Angelo. Bouchard, and I guess you could keep... maybe keep Kulak. I don't know. Maybe put Kulak back here, find another defenseman to put there, and then Barry and Kulak. That would be good. I don't know if that'd be good enough, though. That's the thing about this team. Do they make it to the playoffs? Absolutely yes. With the Pacific Division that they're in, absolutely yes. Unless McDavid and Draisaitl get injured, then they should be perfect. They'll be making it into the playoffs. Now, do they do well again in the playoffs? I think if they get in, and I think like it goes 2 ways. Either they do the one thing that they do, which is either Kane stalls out Hyman isn't as amazing. Yamamoto, for me, the Oilers are going to be like the Colorado Avalanche every year. Either they win the Stanley Cup, or they're going to be kind of stuck at a certain ceiling, like the second line. Maybe they get stuck at the second round. Maybe they get stuck at the conference finals continuously. That's the type of team this is that they're going to at least beat the first round. Whoever they have to play, whether, let's say, it's Dallas again, or let's say it's Dallas or Nashville again, or the Jets, I could easily see the Oilers outplaying Nashville. The Jets could give them a problem, but I feel like they could probably overcome that. But the second round, I don't know. Will they be able to stand up to a team like I think in the second round, because they're in the Pacific Division, they'd be able to beat like the Ducks or the Jets or the Knights. The Knights might be the only team that give them problems. But that third round where they have to run into like a Colorado Avalanche or one of those. What other teams in the Colorado Avalanche? That's who they'd have to run into. Or the Stanley Cup final. This team, as it is now, I don't see winning a Stanley Cup. Their defense isn't good enough, and their goaltending needs to make sure they stand strong. If that can happen, then this team could win a cup. This team could win a cup, but they really need to upgrade CC and Kulak and Broberg. If they can do that, I see this team as legitimate contenders as long as everyone stays according to the plan and sticks together. So that's really all I have to say about the Edmonton Oilers. So I guess until next time, please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. And I don't know why this jersey is still covered up. I'll throw that over there. If you like this video, leave a like, not a dislike, but you can go down below to the comment section and tell me, do you think the Edmonton Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup this year? If not, how far do you think they make it to the playoffs? And what do they need to make sure they can legitimately win the Stanley Cup or go far? So and also make sure you leave any sorts of suggestions, feedback, reviews, comments, concerns, or any sort of rants, opinions, and tangents you've got anything to say. Put them down below, and until next time, I have been the party. And too sweet, and ta-ta for now.